If you'd told me 6 months ago that a busted tractor, a quiet farm road, and a woman with dirt on her jeans would change the entire direction of my life, I would have laughed. Or cried. Probably both. But that's where this story begins, with a single dad who had nothing left except a stubborn little boy and a truck that leaked oil more than it held it. My name's Luke Barrett, and at the time, I was a man running on fumes, financially, emotionally, spiritually, you name it. My wife passed 3 years earlier, and grief doesn't leave you politely. It sticks to you like mud after a rainstorm. And when the bills came faster than the jobs did, when the landlord taped that last eviction notice to my door, I packed everything my son and I owned into an '04 Chevy and pointed the front bumper toward anywhere but here. We ended up in Willow Bend, a small Midwestern town that didn't show up on most maps. My 7-year-old, Eli, fell asleep with his cheek pressed to the window, holding his only stuffed animal like it was a life jacket. I whispered, "We're gonna be okay, buddy," even though I had no idea if that was true. The rental house I found was barely a house. Paint peeling like old sunburn, a porch that sagged like it was tired of pretending to be a porch, and weeds tall enough to hide a toddler. But it was cheap. And right then, cheap was a blessing. We arrived with $200 left, less than what most people spend on groceries for a week. I told myself I'd find work the next day. I was a decent mechanic. Trucks, tractors, generators, lawnmowers that looked like they'd been dragged through a war. I could fix just about anything that had an engine. But life, as usual, had other plans. The next morning, I couldn't find any shop hiring. Not even part-time. Folks said winter had been brutal, spring crops were slow, and everyone was tightening their belts. I walked back to the rental house feeling like a failure, again. That's when a neighbor, an older guy named Ray, waved me down. "You're the new fella renting the Miller place?" he asked. "Yes, sir." "You fix engines?" "Yes, sir," I repeated. He chuckled. "Then quit calling me sir. And quit looking like the sky's about to fall. You want work? I know someone who needs help bad. Tractor busted right before harvest. She's been a skin around." She. He nodded. "Hazel Ward. Family's been farming these parts forever. Good woman. Hard worker. Pays fair. And she don't waste your time. A job. Even a small one. Even a maybe." My chest loosened like someone had turned a valve. Ray scribbled directions on a scrap of cardboard. "Head out there before noon. If she likes you, she'll hire you on the spot." I didn't care if the tractor was held together with duct tape and prayers. I was going. I hollered for Eli, loaded him into the truck, and followed the dirt road out of town, not knowing I was driving straight into the strangest, most unexpected chapter of my life. Hazel's farm didn't look like much when we pulled up. A weathered barn. A small farmhouse that needed a fresh coat of paint. Chickens wandering around like they owned the place. The tractor sat half disassembled in the field like a wounded soldier. Hazel herself walked out of the barn wiping grease off her palms. Her hair was a mess, one of those messy buns that's not supposed to be pretty but somehow is. Sun freckles. Strong shoulders. The kind of woman who works harder than every man she knows and doesn't complain once. "You must be the mechanic." "I'm Luke. This is my son, Eli." She gave Eli a little wave. "You're welcome to explore, as long as you don't wander off." Eli lit up like Christmas and ran toward a muddy puddle with the energy of every 7-year-old boy ever born. Hazel knelt beside the tractor. Starter went out. Hydraulics too. And the fuel pumps whining like a toddler needing a nap. "Think you can handle it?" "I can try." She crossed her arms. "I don't need try. I need done." Her bluntness made me laugh. "Then you'll get done." When I slid under that tractor, it felt like purpose washed over me, for the first time in months. Machines made sense. Unlike grief, unlike life, unlike the stack of unpaid bills sitting back at the house, engines were honest. They told you exactly what was wrong. Hazel watched me work, occasionally handing me tools without even asking what I needed, like she'd fixed a few things in her time too. "You new in town?" she asked. "Moved here yesterday. You running from something or toward something? Does it matter?" She shrugged. "Nope. Just curious which direction your feet are pointed." We bantered, worked, fixed 2 problems and uncovered 3 more. Rain clouds rolled in. Eli found a skinny stray dog hiding under the porch and named him Rocket. Hazel fed them both leftover biscuits. And for a moment, just a moment, life felt almost normal. When the tractor finally turned over, Hazel smiled like the sun breaking through clouds. "Tell you what, how about you come back tomorrow? There's more to fix." "I'd like that," I said honestly. And I meant it. But the next days revealed something I did not expect. The modest farm wasn't modest at all. Not even close. I overheard a phone call Hazel was trying to hide. "No, Mr. Lowe, I already told you. I'm not selling. I don't care what number you write down. My answer is no." She hung up fast when she saw me. Later that week, I saw 3 enormous combines across a field, machines worth more than my entire life. Then a row of harvest trucks behind the barn I'd never seen before. Then a storage building with security cameras. New ones. High-end ones. This wasn't a small struggling farm. Hazel was sitting on land, and equipment, worth millions. But she lived like she had nothing. She saw me staring one day and finally said, "My daddy ran this place humble. Said if you ever start thinking you're rich, you start forgetting what matters. I'm trying to keep it that way." Then her voice cracked, just slightly. "And people like Lowe think that makes me weak." Before I could respond, Eli came running toward us with Rocket chasing his heels. Hazel smiled at him with a softness that made my chest tighten. That night, Hazel cooked us dinner, fried chicken, mashed potatoes, corn she'd harvested herself. Eli laughed harder than I'd heard in ages. Rocket slept at his feet. Hazel talked about her father. I talked about my wife. Not in a sad way. More like remembering something sacred. And when lightning knocked the power out, we ate the rest of dinner by candlelight. I swear, it felt like home. But storms, literal and metaphorical, don't stay away forever. A week later, a black SUV rolled up the driveway. 3 men stepped out wearing suits too clean for farm country. The kind of men who don't come for friendly visits. Eli grabbed my hand. Rocket growled. Hazel stepped outside like a warrior preparing to fight. "Hazel Ward," the tall one said, "we're here on behalf of Lowe Development. You have 1 week to reconsider the offer." Hazel didn't flinch. "My answer hasn't changed." The man smiled. A cold, dangerous smile. "Ma'am, you have no idea how valuable this land is. And no idea what we're willing to do." He didn't say the rest, but he didn't need to. I stepped forward. "You boys lost. This is private property." They looked me up and down like I was something stuck to their shoe. "And you are?" "Someone who's not scared of you." The tension thickened like fog. Hazel eventually stepped between us and forced them to leave. But as the SUV disappeared, I saw something on Hazel's face I hadn't seen before. Fear. And I knew, just like that, I wasn't going anywhere. Not until this was over. What happened next is something I still replay in my head. A storm rolled in. Worse than the last one. We barely had time to pull equipment inside before the skies opened. The creek behind the fields burst its banks. Water rushed in faster than we could push it back. Hazel grabbed sandbags. I grabbed Hazel. "You're not going out there alone," I said. This farm is everything I have, Luke. And you're everything Eli and I have. That stopped her. For a heartbeat, our eyes held the same truth neither of us had dared say out loud. Then the water surged past another line of sandbags and we ran. At one point Hazel slipped, feet swept from under her. The current pulled her toward the creek. She was seconds from being dragged under. I dove, grabbed her wrist, anchored my other hand around a post, and pulled with everything I had. Her fingers dug into my sleeve, water pouring over both of us. "Don't you dare let go," she shouted. Wasn't planning to. I hauled her into my arms. For a moment, she just clung to me, breathless, shaking, alive. Then she whispered, "You always show up when it matters." By morning, the worst was over. But low development arrived before breakfast. This time with papers. Threats. 2 sheriff's deputies who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. Hazel stood on her porch, soaked clothes still clinging to her from the storm. I stood beside her. Eli behind my legs. Rocket growling like a tiny wolf. "Ms. Ward," Lowe's attorney said, "the flood has rendered 40 acres unusable. Under Clause 19B of the agreement your father signed." Hazel's jaw tightened. "My father would never." "He did," the attorney insisted. "And the land now defaults to us." The crowd forming on the gravel road, neighbors, farmers, townsfolk, started murmuring angrily. I grabbed the papers, scanned them, and something jumped out. "Hazel," I whispered, "this signature isn't your dad's. The dates don't match. The handwriting doesn't match. This was forged." "How can you tell?" she whispered back. "Because your father's hospital bills say he was in surgery the day this was supposedly signed." Her eyes widened. I lifted the papers in the air. "Hey! These documents are fake." The attorney's face drained of color. Lowe stepped forward, voice rising. "You don't know what you're talking about." "No," I said, stepping closer, "but the sheriff over there does." The deputy nodded slowly. "Mr. Lowe. I'm going to have to take these papers in for verification." Within minutes, the situation turned. People filmed everything. Hazel confronted Lowe with the fire of a woman who'd carried her land alone for years. "You tried to steal what my family built," she said through clenched teeth. "But this land has more defenders than you ever expected." Lowe left under a hail of shouting from the townsfolk. Hazel sagged against the porch railing. Eli hugged her waist. Rocket barked like he'd won a war. I stood there watching her, knowing my life had just changed for good. She looked at me, really looked, and said, "Luke, stay. Not because I need your help. Because I want you here." My throat tightened. "Eli and we've been looking for a place to belong." She smiled softly. "Then maybe you found it." The neighbors cheered. Or maybe that was just my heart pounding. It's been months since then. The land is still ours. The farm is stronger than before. Eli feeds Rocket every morning like it's his job. Hazel and well, we're figuring it out slowly. Carefully. Honestly. Some folks in town say a single dad shouldn't be mixing work and love. Others say Hazel should have sold the land while the price was high. But me? I think life gives you rare chances at rebuilding. Starting over. Choosing people who choose you back. And I'm not walking away from that again. Call to action. What do you think? Should Hazel have sold the land and walked away wealthy? Or was fighting to save her family's legacy the right choice? And be honest, should a man like me stay on that farm or keep drifting? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious where you stand on loyalty, legacy, and second chances.